I'm Cath. Welcome to my channel made by Cath Craft. Thank you very much for joining me today for episode 8 of my midweek sewing chat. And I always enjoy popping on midweek to share a bit of what I'm up to. And so today it's Tuesday morning here when I'm filming. Hopefully I'll be releasing this video tomorrow, so Wednesday, all being well. And I always feel I have to add all being well because I never know what's going to crop up, like in Vlogmas where I managed to spill water on my laptop. And I was really worried I wouldn't be able to participate in the rest of Vlogmas because I wouldn't be able to upload anything and edit anything. But that laptop is still actually going strong without any signs of water damage, so I've been very lucky. But anyway, fingers crossed nothing will go wrong and this video will be up tomorrow. But yeah, it's Tuesday morning here and it's actually a lovely sunny day outside. Yesterday and today it has been beautiful sunshine here, which has been really nice because last week I think was pretty overcast on the whole. And I do find sunshine lifts the spirits. And just looking out the window now, it looks like a really lovely spring day out there. And you could easily be fooled into thinking it's quite warm, but when you step outside, it's still very cold out there. It's definitely thick coat weather. We went to the park after school last night, and when the sun went behind a cloud, it got very chilly indeed, and we ended up heading home. So yeah, it's still weather for very cosy clothes, but I am in here today rather than in my front room because the sunshine is streaming through the window in the front room. And I do find it can be a bit tricky to film in there, particularly when I'm showing fabrics and things that reflect on the light and the fabrics don't show up properly. So I thought it'd be easier to be in here. And I've got a few things to share with you today. I've got a project I completed this week that I've got to share. I've got a couple of knitting items to share too. And I've got a new sewing plan or new sewing project, and I've got the fabric to share with that too. So yeah, hopefully it should be a good mix. But first of all, I will start with what I'm wearing. So today, as I mentioned, it's still quite chilly out there, so I've got a fairly cozy outfit on. And I decided to go for something bright since it was nice and summery and I was feeling in good mood, so I thought I'm going to wear something, quite happy. So this is a Tilly in the Buttons Freya top. And if you've seen my videos before, you'll know it's one of my favourite patterns I wear through the winter, and I wear it with all sorts of different combinations of outfits. But the top is from this book here, Tilly in the Buttons Stretch Book. It's a really nice sort of close-fitting jersey top pattern, and I've made most of mine in a cotton jersey, although I did more recently make one in a tencel jersey, and that works really well too. But here is the line drawing. You can make it as a top or a dress. It's fairly fitted. I usually make the long sleeve version, so it's nice and cosy for winter. It's got this mock turtleneck neckline, and I really like it because it's not too tight, so I don't find it restrictive around my neck, but it does keep my neck nice and cozy. But there are a couple of other neckline options too, like a really nice cowl neck option, which is really cozy and thick, and a roll neck one too. And I always make the size 2, which is for bust 32 inches, I know it off by heart, waist 26 inches and hips 35 inches, and I'm 32, 26, 36. But I never grade out because there's negative ease built into it anyway, so it's designed to stretch, and I find it's just fine over my hips. So I think I do lengthen the sleeves and the body a little bit on this pattern. They're kind of standard adjustments for me anyway, just to make it extra cozy and nice and long and covering my wrists. But I think this might be, well, probably is my brightest Freya top I have. You couldn't really get much brighter than rainbow leopard print, could you? I got this a long time ago, and I was trying to have a look back and find out where I got this fabric, but I really couldn't find it. I don't think it probably is in stock anywhere now anyway, because it was quite a long time when I bought it, one time ago. It's a cotton jersey fabric, so really nice and comfy and soft to wear. And I've teamed it with a Clio pinafore, again by Tilly in the Buttons, and I've got that pattern here. This pattern here, and I think a Clio works so well with a Freya top. It's quite a simple straight fit pinafore, quite a classic pinafore I guess. And it's got, you can have these patch pockets at the front and back, and they're really handy actually, because this morning when I was running about trying to get things ready for school, I had my phone in one pocket on the back and my keys in the other pocket, so I do use them quite a lot. But yeah, you can finish it with buckles or buttons, and I finished mine with these sort of silver buckles, and they go on quite nicely. And yeah, there's 2 different lengths, a mini length or a knee length, and the knee length has a little slit you can add to make it, I guess, a little bit easier to walk in, a bit more loose. But I have made the mini length, so it's on the short side, this one. And I've made it in this needle cord fabric in a navy colour, so it's quite a fine needle cord. So it is on the lighter weight side for the Clio pinafore. I think it recommends maybe medium weight fabrics or heavy or medium weight woven fabrics, and this is a bit lighter. But I find it quite comfy to wear, and I usually add a little sort of slip around my sort of as a sort of skirt slip, just so that when I wear it with tights, it doesn't sort of chafe and sort of ride up. But I'll put a picture up of me wearing it. I think I made a straight size 2 for this version because it's quite a lightweight corduroy. And the size 2 is for waist 26, hips 35, I guess Teddy's standard measurements. But for my second version I made, I actually sized up on the hips to give me a bit more room because I'd used a slightly more rigid fabric than this one, which is quite soft and sort of loose. But I love wearing a Cleo pinafore, and it'll be good for later because at the moment I've got tights on, but I'm going to the swimming pool later with my children, so I'll probably change into leggings and socks, and then I can just whip the socks off easily to walk with them through the changing rooms and not get sort of soggy feet. So that's what I'm wearing today, and I am enjoying wearing quite a bright top. Oh, and I should mention, if you're interested in sewing a pinafore, the Cleo pattern is designed for beginners, and it's my first pinafore pattern I made, and it's a really nice sew, very satisfying. I haven't made one for ages actually, but I'm sure this one might wear out at some point because it's got so much wear, so I'm really happy that I made it so I can recreate it again. I think I'll pretty much recreate it exactly the same again, which is a bit boring, but if it works, then why not? So in terms of what I have been sewing this week, I've got one completed project to share with you. And if you watched my last week's midweek sewing chat, my episode 7, you'll know that I had some scraps left over of fabric, some fleece back sweatshirt fabric in 2 different colours, and I was planning to try combining them to make a colour blocked sweatshirt. And I was planning to make a colour blocked sweatshirt using this pattern here, which is the Mylen sweatshirt pattern by Closet Core Patterns. And this pattern has become a real favourite of mine. I got it for Christmas and I've made 2 versions so far in plain colours, and then I've gone on to make this colour blocked version. And I've made all my versions using View A. So it's quite a slouchy, relaxed fit sweatshirt with these dropped shoulders with some really nice details like these diagonal side seams and sleeve darts. It's got a couple of other cool options too that I might try at some point, but I've been really enjoying this version. I've worn both the versions I've made, my lilac version and I made a sage green version. I've worn them both a lot, and I thought it'd be quite fun to give some colour blocking a go because I had what looked like just enough left of the fabric to give that a try. So that is what I've been working on this week. I wasn't planning to sew up so quickly when I mentioned it last week, but I was feeling inspired. So I took the time, and actually having sewn it twice before recently, it sewed up pretty quickly. So for my version 3, my collar blocked version, I decided to make it pretty much per the pattern with just one adjustment, which is to lengthen the sleeve slightly. So in terms of sizing, I have gone for, on all my versions, the size 0, which is actually smaller than my measurements. But when I looked at the finished garment measurements, which are inside the pack, and also from hearing other people's experience, I knew it came up quite oversized, so the size 0 has been fine for me. But I had for my first 2 versions, I had lengthened it by quite a lot, by 3 inches, just to bring it down to kind of a bit more of my hip level rather than having it more cropped, which is how it looked like it would turn out without the lengthening adjustment. But for my colour blocked version, I decided not to add any length to the body. So I still added the 1 inch to the sleeves to make sure the sleeves were long enough for me. But yeah, I just went straight for the this sort of standard length per the pattern, which meant I had to retrace the pattern piece out, but that was fine. And I thought that would make sure I had enough fabric too, because once you add the 3 inches, it doesn't need quite a bit more fabric. So for both the back and the front pattern pieces. So here is my cropped, colour blocked Mylen sweatshirt. And I really love it actually. I'm really happy with how it came out, and it was a lot of fun to make. So I basically had to look at what fabric I had left and sort of plan the colour blocking around that. So in terms of ribbing, I didn't have much of the sage green, no, that's not right. I didn't have much of the lilac ribbing left, not enough to make 2 cuffs. So I started with making sage green cuffs because I had enough ribbing of that. And then I thought I'd go for the lilac ribbing on the neckband because I had just enough to squeeze out the neckband of it. And then I kind of planned the colours accordingly. So I went for green on the front and lilac on the back with a green yoke. And then for the sleeves are in 2 pattern pieces. So you could technically have, say, like a green on one side and a lilac on the other side. But I didn't want to go too crazy with the colour blocking. So I went for an all lilac sleeve. So yeah, I'm really happy with how it came out, and it was a lot of fun. And I went for lilac top stitching on the green. And I went for, it's quite subtle, but you can just about see green top stitching on the lilac. And yeah, it was just a really fun make. And I decided to keep the bottom band the same colour as the main body pieces, just so you can really see those lovely style lines that come around in diagonal fashion. So it was a really fun sew, and actually I really love it cropped too. It's a nice length, and I've worn it out and it's still nice and cosy, although it's definitely a more cropped style. And I'll put a picture up so you can see how it looks like on. So yeah, it looks a bit different to my lilac and green ones because of the colour blocking, so I think I could probably wear all three without anyone thinking how many pastel coloured sweatshirts do you have? Well, I hope so anyway. So yeah, it was a really fun make, and I definitely recommend the Mylen sweatshirt pattern. It just comes together so nicely, and yeah, I love the little details like the sleeve darts and everything. So yeah, that's my first thing I completed this week, that I completed in quite a rush in the end because I was just really enjoying making that one. So yeah, that's my first sewing project. So in terms of what else I've been up to sewing wise this last week, well, I've started to prepare for joining in with a challenge that's currently running on YouTube and Instagram that you're probably already familiar with, which is Sew Frugal 2022. So it's a really fun challenge hosted by Rowan, who's the Yorkshire Sew Girl, and Sam, who's Frugalissima. And loads of vloggers are joining in. You'll have probably seen there's been videos being released every day for the last couple of weeks at least, where people are talking all about free patterns they're planning to make garments out of. And the rules of the challenge are you have to use a free pattern for some sort of garment. You have to choose a fabric from your stash, so you can't buy anything new. You have to sew up the garment and share it on the 31st of March on Instagram, using the hashtag SewFrugal22. So it's a really cool challenge, and I joined in with it last year, and I'm really looking forward to joining in with it again this year. And my video is going to be coming out next week on Thursday the 17th of March. So I think next week I'm going to not release a midweek sewing chat video because I want to concentrate on getting my Sew Frugal video ready to put out. But I thought what I might do instead was do a week of sewing in chat type video as well, which I then release on the Saturday, like I always release a video on the Saturday. So I think that is my plan for next week. So I would love it if you would tune in next week on Thursday, the 17th of March for my Sew Frugal video. It's going to be an interesting one for me actually, and it's required a bit of thought because I don't have a lot of fabrics in my stash. So I'll be talking all about what I'm planning based on that next week. And I've got some top free pattern picks that I'm going to choose from too that I'm going to be talking about as well. So I'm really looking forward to filming that video because I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It's a really fun challenge to join in with. So that's one thing I've spent a bit of time sort of researching and preparing for. But I've also got another sewing project that I'd like to get started on soon. And this is not related to Sew Frugal. This is just one that I've had in mind I'd like to do. And I think it'll be a great one to get started on ready to wear for spring. And it's to make a blouse for spring using this pattern here, which is the Bloomsbury Blouse pattern by Nina Lee London. And this pattern was on my Make 9 list for this year as one of the 9 patterns I wanted to sew this year. It's a pattern I've sort of been eyeing up for a while, and I thought it had some really pretty details, so I thought I'd finally make it this year. And I thought it'd be a really lovely one to wear maybe with a pair of jeans in spring. And it's just got some lovely pretty details. So I'll show you the line drawings. It is a Edwardian inspired blouse. It's designed for lightweight woven fabrics. And on the front here, it's got this yoke and this really lovely ruffle. And you can either make a sort of subtle ruffle or a slightly more flowy and oversized ruffle. It's got a high neck, and you can add another little ruffle on the high neck if you wish as well. And it's got darts. And then on the back, it's got this really pretty button down back as well. And the yoke continues around with the ruffle. Then it's got bracelet length sleeves. And again, there's another option to add a little ruffle at the end of the sleeves too. So loads of really pretty details. And I thought it would be a really nice, interesting one to sew as well, because I haven't done that style of yoke with a ruffle before. So I thought I'd learn something when I'm sewing this too. And from my experience of Nina Lee patterns, I really like the instructions. So I thought it'd be a nice one to try that yoke with a ruffle on it. The only downside of this pattern is it's not released in Nina Lee's extended size range. So it's only released in her original size range, which goes from a UK size 8 to a UK 20. And the largest size is for a bust of 46 inches. And I think for me, I find that Nina Lee patterns tend to come up on the fitted side. So I think I'll go based on my measurements for this one, and I'll probably go for a 6 at the bust, which is my bust of 32 inches. And I'll probably grade up to an 8 at the waist and hips, which is for waist 26 inches and hips 35.5 inches. So I might take a little bit more, maybe I'll take a little bit out of the hips as well. Although I think probably what I would wear this blouse with is tucked in mostly, so the hips measurement probably wouldn't be too critical because it wouldn't be sitting over my hips too much. But those are probably my plans, but I'm yet to start tracing this one out, so I'm going to trace it out. I do like to trace all my patterns out so then I can fiddle around with the trace piece and make adjustments and not worry about destroying the original pieces, and I'll always have those to go back to. So that is my next plan, which I'm quite excited about, and I think that'll be lovely for spring with the bracelet sleeve length. And I've got some fabric for this. I think I might have shown this a while ago, but I'll show it again because it's such a pretty fabric. It's an Atelier Brunette viscose crepe fabric. And here it is, so you can see it's really nice and lightweight. and yeah, drapey, really pretty fabric. It is called Dune, and there's a few different colourways of this fabric available. There's a chestnut colourway, there's one called a smoky, which is kind of like a sort of dark, sort of greeny type colourway, and there's a sort of off-white one too. But I really like the black base of this one. I thought that was really pretty. I'm not sure the kind of this sort of chestnutty colour in there is my colour, but I thought with the black being the predominant colour, that'll be fine against my skin tone. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to giving this fabric a go. I think I've mentioned before, crepe isn't usually my favourite type of viscose. I don't know what it is about it. It's just not my favourite. I prefer something a bit smoother than the kind of crepe sort of slightly sort of textured surface. But actually, so I thought I'd give this fabric a go and see how I got on, and I was really pleasantly surprised when it arrived, because it's such a fine crepe texture. You don't really notice that there is much texture to it at all. It feels really, it doesn't feel smooth exactly because it has got the crepe texture, but it feels so subtle that it's really nice. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to cutting into this one. I've got it washed, so I just need to start tracing the pattern piece out, and then I think I need some buttons too. I hadn't really thought about needing buttons, so I'm going to have to figure out if I've got any buttons that would work with this fabric in my stash, or do I need to buy some buttons. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to giving that one a go. I think it'll be really fun, so that I'm going to take my time over. So that's my sewing plans, my Bloomsbury blouse, and then also getting started on my So Frugal makes, because I figure once I put the video up on 17th of March, I haven't got too long after that actually to get the garments finished. So those will keep me busy, I think. But I've also got a couple of knitting items to share with you now as well. And the first one is another item I finished this week, and it's the knitted fairy lights I was making for my daughter's room. And you'll have seen that those were in progress if you watched my last week's episode 7 midweek sewing chat. And I was making the fairy lights using this knitting magazine here, which is the King Cole Christmas Knits magazine. But I was making a non-Christmassy version of the fairy lights, but here are the fairy lights in here. That's not them, some cute robins, which are really cool and glittery. Here they are. So I was making a fairy light garland for my daughter's room. So they're designed to kind of be Christmassy, and I made a Christmas set for us downstairs, but decided to make a set for my daughter's room in sort of the colours that would suit her room. And yeah, I've been knitting those up and they're finally finished. It's a really nice, simple pattern and a really fun knit. And I'll show you the sort of string of fairy lights I've made for my daughter's room, and here they are. So yeah, I'm really pleased with how they turned out. So I used leftover white yarn I had in my stash. It's all double knit yarn. Leftover white yarn for the main bits of the fairy lights, and then for the little caps and for the I-cord, and the little I-cord there, I used a glittery pink yarn that I'd got from Hobbycraft that I'll link down below. So yeah, they're really fun actually, and actually, well, I just got them down because they're actually now up in my daughter's room, so I'll be able to pop a photo up of how they look in her room. I'd originally made 9 lights, and if you've seen last week, I'd have wanted to make 10, but I hadn't got quite enough white yarn to finish the last one. But when I had a look at the space in my daughter's room, actually it only needed 7 to fill the space, so I've got 2 left over now. I said to my husband they make a really fun pair of novelty earrings, but I'm not sure what I'm going to do with them. I need to have a little think and see whether I can maybe fashion them in something for my daughter's room. If you have any ideas of what I could do with 2 little leftover fairy lights, then let me know. So yeah, there's 7 in a little string, and it just hangs away above her bed, as you can see from the picture. And she was really pleased with them when we put them up last night. Yeah, she really likes them, so it was a fun little project, and I'm glad I finished that, although I was a bit sad when it's finished actually, because I do like these little simple knitting projects. So anyway, that's all done. So having finished those knitted fairy lights, I've been left with quite a lot of the pink glitter yarn left over. So yeah, as you can see, there's quite a decent amount left over from this ball. And I was quite keen to start using it up sooner rather than later, because my daughter is still really into pink glittery things at the moment, but I'm conscious that it might not last forever. So I was saying to my husband, oh, I've got all this wool left and it'd be nice to make something for my daughter. And he came up with a really good idea, which is to make this wool into a blanket for her. And at the moment, she's really enjoying playing with cuddly toys and dolls, and she'll often get them all out on the floor and she'll put little blankets over them, just sort of small, sort of pram or sort of, yeah, little blankets, and get them all cosy. And she could always do with more blankets for more toys to be covered. So I thought it was a really nice idea, and I had a look on lovecraft.com because they have loads of interesting patterns on there. I always like to have a browse. Had to look at their sort of blanket patterns, and I found a really cute one that I thought would be right up my daughter's street, and it's called a lace heart blanket, and I'll put a picture up so you can see what the knitting pattern looks like. So it's a really pretty blanket with a little bit of lace work to make the little heart shapes. I thought my daughter would really like that. So I got that pattern. I'll link it down below if you're interested. And I've started knitting that up, and here it is so far in progress. It's a fun little knit, and it's got a bit of interest because you can see these little hearts are coming out. So there'll be lots of little squares with hearts all the way up. And I think I'll just knit it and see how far I get with this ball of wool. I think that should give me a decent amount of wool to make it a decent size. The pattern I got is actually for Aran yarn and designed to be knitted in 4.5mm needles. But I've got double knit yarn, so I've decided to knit it in 4mm needles instead. And I figure it's going to be a bit smaller, but it doesn't really matter because I'm not planning on using it actually to cover my daughter up or anything. I don't need it to be a decent size. It's just going to be for her toys. So I think this little size looks like it'll come out quite a nice size, not really small, but not super huge. So it'll be perfect for putting on toys. So I'm really enjoying starting to knit this actually. It's a nice little project to knit in front of the TV, and the sort of little bit of lace work adds a bit of interesting detail. So yeah, that's just going to be one I keep going at every now and then. Nice to kind of be able to pick up and put down, but really nice to use up some of this pink glittery yarn. And it's actually the first blanket I've ever knitted. My mum knitted a fair few for my children when they were little, but I've never knitted one myself. So yeah, it's quite nice to knit my first blanket. And yeah, I'm quite enjoying working on it, just up and down the needles. Yeah, it's quite a satisfying project so far. So I think that is everything I have to share with you today for my midweek sewing chat. So I've got a couple of exciting plans. I'm really looking forward to giving the Bloomsbury blouse a try. I think it's going to be such a fun one to sew. And I can't wait to get stuck into my Sew Frugal plans too. That should be lots of fun as well. And I can't wait till the 31st of March to see what everyone has made for that. So yeah, I think that's pretty much everything. So next week I won't be here on Wednesday for a midweek sewing chat. I'll instead be on Thursday with my Sew Frugal video. I'm also planning on releasing a video this Saturday as usual. I started a series recently where I talk about a pattern company and talk about which patterns I've made from that pattern company, also which patterns I would like to make and which patterns aren't quite for me. So I've got another one of those coming up on Saturday, which I'd love it if you would tune into. And so yeah, I think I'll finish this one off here. The weather's so nice. I think I'm going to go out for a run in a moment and enjoy the sunshine. And I'm going to get this video started processing so I can get it all edited, ready for tomorrow, fingers crossed. So thank you so much for watching. If you've enjoyed the video, as ever, I'd love it if you would give it a thumbs up. And if you're new to my channel, I would love it if you would subscribe and also press the bell icon, and then you'll be notified when I do bring those future videos out. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you have a lovely day plan, whatever you are up to. I hope the sun might be shining where you are too. I do find it has lifted my spirits today. So yeah, I'm enjoying it while it lasts. So thanks again for watching, and I will see you again soon. Bye.